Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Dolce & Gabbana collection. We're also going to take a look at the new Tradition Select brushes from Sonia G and also the new Le MER lip serum. This is the lip volumizer in berry. So we're going to take a look at this as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, let's start off with the Dolce & Gabbana. Dolce & Gabbana is a relatively recent addition to the US market, and you can purchase directly from the Dolce & Gabbana website. They do not have their full makeup line, but they do have selected items, such as this new collection. Now, my box came completely pristine, and what you get in here is you've got like a cardboard insert to protect the palette, and then you have this chain here, and you can see I didn't open that, but you can hook the chain onto this end. And the palette itself, unfortunately, I have to say, my pretty blue glittery shade, you can see it's all gone here. It was shattered everywhere. So I did contact them and I did my best to swatch that shade so you can see what it looks like anyway. I used a little bit on the lid. I have to say it's a beautiful, beautiful shade, but I've heard of a lot of people having this particular shade broken upon arrival. So you know, that's definitely something to note. Now, their customer service, though, is very good about handling, you know, issues like this that pop up. But it's kind of disappointing because when I purchased the first items from Dolce & Gabbana, including the Devotion highlighter, that came shattered. And then now this palette, which I was really looking forward to, also came shattered. So you can see that the color story here, it is really, really beautiful. So let's go ahead and we're going to swatch these and then we'll talk a little bit about these formulas. Now, first up, we have kind of this shimmery champagne gold. And you can see that this one it's still a little bit of a chunky glitter, but it's small particles. So, you know, it's shimmer. There's not much of a base shade there. Then we have this matte pink. And it's a pretty basic pink. It does lean a little cool, and I think it's really beautiful. Let's go ahead and do the mattes first. So we're going to go ahead and skip over to the lavender shade here. And you can see that this lavender has a bit of a pink base to it. Really beautiful on the eyes. When you put the lavender with the pink looks significantly warmer. When you use it on its own, it has a bit of a cooler hue to it. Then we have this deep purple, and it's really just like a deep grape. I think it's a gorgeous shade. Really like that one. We'll just continue going around. We have this bright electric blue. This is not a shade you see too often in the eyeshadow palettes, so I thought that was really cool. And then I'm just going to try to get some of this off. It's been really hard to get this black shade here. This black is actually a cream shadow, and it makes a really nice base to play with these shimmers. And the shades in the center, for the most part, are like pressed glitters. So the base shade would really help them adhere. Mine, though, I haven't really been able to use much because I didn't want to remove all of the blue glitter yet. Then we have this brown shade here. So it looks like a beautiful taupe in the pan. It's a little bit deeper when you swatch it than I expected. This shade here looks a little bit more brown in the pan, and it's a bit peachier on the skin. So it's actually more of a soft peach. Then let's take a look at the middle shades. So let's start off with some of this blue residue. And I'm going to try to pick this up from the black. And that's kind of why I was saving onto that. So you can see it's a pressed glitter. If you press it on, it's kind of like the Danessa Myricks Chrome Flakes. But you can spread this out, and you've got this beautiful blue and purple multi-chrome. It's really, really beautiful. I wish I had that full shade there. And then let's do the other pressed glitters first. This one is my favorite. You can see it's a really beautiful multi-chrome where you've got pink, purple, a little bit of sea green, some silver. You know, it's just a really beautiful, kind of like a mermaid tail. So really like that. And then on the bottom here, this one is going to be more of a pewter silver, and you can see this one is really more of a true pressed glitter. It reminds me of the pressed glitter in one of those first Byredo palettes that came out. So we really don't have much of a base. With these two, if you kind of spread them out, they kind of melt a little bit and you get more of this, multi-chromatic shimmer, and you get like a little bit of a base shade. Whereas with this one, you don't really, but you can see we do have some multi-colored hues in there. Think of like, you remember the confetti nail polish toppers? Those are the colors that are mixed into this, but it is still going to be primarily more of a pewter silver. And then we have this shade here that has a little bit of red and bronze and gold. It's kind of like a fiery shade kind of mixed together. This one is not a glitter. It's just going to be a straight up multi-chrome shade, and it's beautiful. It looks like flames. This with the blue, so pretty. So I have to say, the shadows in this palette are gorgeous. I absolutely love the color story. Before we move on to the demos, let's take a look at the eyeliners as well. So there are a bunch of different colored liquid eyeliners that came out. I picked up 3 of them. I picked up the purple and both of the blues. So let's go ahead and swatch these and then we'll move on. But you can see we've got this felt tip applicator here. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on its side. And then just so you can see how fine you can get the line. You can see I've got some staining on my hand there. So you can see it's a really nice purple. I thought it'd be a little bit deeper, but it's really gonna be more of a medium purple. So like, this is gonna be a deep grape. This is be your medium grape. So they're basically the same tone, but this is lighter. And then we have this turquoisey blue. Look at that. Really beautiful shade. And that's going to be a lighter version of this. It has a little bit more blue in it, like a little more sky blue. And then we have this light baby blue. Like a periwinkle. Cornflower blue. So those are the 3 I picked up. And I think they are gorgeous. One thing I want to show you about the packaging here. So you can see we've got a fine felt tip. And the packaging here, when you put this in, you can feel it pressing the brush tip in. So this whole thing basically must go in, and I'm guessing that's part of their mechanism, but you can feel it depressing the tip in there. So it kind of feels like it's bouncing back, and you just want to kind of make sure you push that hard. Let's take a look at the demo so I talk a bit about these. The Dolce & Gabbana collection is called the Bold Collection. The palette retails for $89 US. It is an online exclusive, and right now it's available as pre-order. They did sell out of their original stock. So description from Dolce & Gabbana, it says the I Dare You multi-finish eyes and cheeks palette features 12 hypnotizing shades with innovative formulas and special finishes that you can mix and match for endless makeup looks to flaunt from day to night. The I Dare You palette features 12 long-lasting eyeshadows with high color payoff and adherence, encased in a chic black and gold monogram packaging inspired by the DG logo bag. This palette invites you to amplify your creativity with endless makeup looks to flaunt from day to night, complete with a detachable chain, mirror, and double-ended brush applicator. It's a chic addition to your makeup bag. Explore innovative formulas and finishes with ultra-performing mattes, metallic foil wet powders, multi-dimensional biodegradable glitters, reflective 3D pigments, a metallic trio mélange, which is that red, orange, fiery shade, and a 2-in-1 formula that doubles as an eyeshadow and liner, and that would be the black. The applicator is stored near the hinge of the palette on the interior. It's a double-ended brush with one side being more of a fluffy shader and the other side being a slanted liner brush. I have to say, I think that these are absolutely beautiful colors. I love the colors, but this is a very messy palette. Even if my shade were not shattered, the glitters themselves are fairly loose. So although I think there's some moistness to the base of them, allowing them to kind of stay put, I feel like it's still not quite enough adherence to kind of keep them together. So it's a little bit messy. You can get some fallout with the glitters, but they are beautiful. And I think those glitter shades really apply best with a finger, where you can kind of spread them out and melt them. Now, because you don't really have too much of a base to that like silvery shade, you definitely want to use one of the other shades underneath, unless you're looking for more of a bare lid look. And yeah, I have to say, I think they are really beautiful. The mattes, they're nice. They can be a little patchy if you have any moisture on your eyelid. So I've tried them with and without primer. If you're using like a tacky primer, it can definitely adhere a little bit more strongly in certain places. So you probably want to use a dusting of powder on top of that first, just to get kind of a smoother finish to those powder mattes. But they go on nicely. They build up well. You can blend them out. But they're not the best mattes, in my opinion. You know, they can be a little finicky because they really do adhere to any excess moisture. The multi-chrome fire shade, I think that is absolutely gorgeous. It's a really beautiful color. If you're just gonna dab that on top of another shade though, you really don't see the beauty in that. It's really gonna appear to be more of a little bit of gold. So if you want to see that, I would definitely recommend using it more as an all over lid look. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So overall, I would have to say the mattes, the colors are beautiful, but the quality of them is, you know, it's okay. I think you can find better quality mattes than the ones in this particular palette, but they're not bad. They are perfectly fine. The glitters are absolutely beautiful. Love the color stories, but they're a little messy. And I feel like you can find the same types of colors and these shifts from indie brands for a better price and without as much of the larger glitter pieces. I do like the fact that they're using biodegradable glitter, so I think that's definitely a plus there. So overall, I would have to say that the palette itself, although gorgeous, is only okay. So it has a 2-year shelf life. It's made in Italy, and we have 12 grams of product here, or you do if you have a full palette. The chain, personally, I find to be unnecessary. I have no intention of attaching the chain to mine, and it's pretty heavy. So the palette itself has a fairly medium weight. It's definitely not lightweight, but adding the chain to that makes it a pretty heavy palette. Now moving on to the liquid eyeliners, these are called That's My Line 24-hour lasting waterproof eyeliner. They retail for $29 US, and there are 7 shades in this liner. Now on the Dolce & Gabbana website, I only see 6 shades, so just something to know. According to Dolce & Gabbana, it says the That's My Line 24-hour lasting waterproof eyeliners invite you to color outside the box with 7 playful shades made to last all day. Created with a special technology for ultra seamless application that 100% agree gives one stroke color payoff. And these have been meticulously tested to be smudge, humidity, and sebum proof. Featuring a beginner-friendly felt tip specially designed for a precise and controlled application, allowing you to create thin and precise lines or bold and controlled strokes to play and line in your unique style. Crafted with unique technology of high-quality polymers combined with unique color dispersion, these eyeliners provide one-stroke, ultra-pigmented, seamless color that lasts for up to 24 hours. The clean formula is enriched with Italian blueberry extract, known to shield the skin from blue light, and D-panthenol, known to hydrate and smoothen the skin. I have to say, I think these liners are beautiful. I love the colors, and they actually are really easy to use. So I use, for today's look, I have the cornflower blue kind of in a thick line, and then I put a very thin line of the purple against the lashes and going up for a little emphasis. And this is something that's really easy to do for somebody who's terrible with liquid eyeliner. So that makes these a win in my book. The colors are fun, and they go over the Dolce & Gabbana shadows, even the glitters, very seamlessly. So very happy with the eyeliners. I think they're gorgeous. And, you know, I am tempted to pick up more of these shades in the future. We'll see how much I use these 3, but I can definitely see myself, you know, using these anytime I want to use a liquid eyeliner. So there are a few liquid eyeliner formulas that I really like. This is definitely going in the list of those. Now, just for reference, my favorite liquid eyeliners include the Suku Nuance eyeliners and the Yuzi by Flo Fushi. So I'm happy to add these to that list there. So one more time, let's take a look at the swatches. Here is the actual eyeshadow palette. You can see we've got beautiful, beautiful shades in this palette. I absolutely love the color stories, love the shimmers and so forth. But I do think we can find similar shades to these from indie brands. And then the mattes, you could definitely mix and match shades from other brands like Viseart and Isom and so forth to get some similar. But some of them are hard to find, like this bright blue. So overall, I think it's really, really beautiful. If it's a color store you like, I think it's worth getting the palette. If it's one you wouldn't use that often, I would recommend looking for things piecemeal. So the liners here, you can see I had a little bit of glitter going into this one. It's not a glittery eyeliner, but I did do that over the glitter, and you can see how hard I'm rubbing those. And I mean, my finger was dirty from swatches. I'll use my pinky here. But you can see I'm rubbing pretty firmly and nothing's coming off. They do last all day and they don't smudge. I think they're a really great product. If you hear me knocking things over, I keep knocking over this. I purchased a new shade in the Prada foundation, which I have on right now, the LC5. And for those of you who've been kind of following my shade match, you know, kind of path for Prada, the LC5 is the one that works best for me. So if you wear Cle de Peau I-10 or something equivalent, BD01 from Chanel, the Prada and LC5 is closest to those. Now let's take a quick look at the MER lip serum, and let's start off with the packaging. So this is plastic. This kind of looks like it's been broken off. It is a flat edge here on top, but according to the photos, this is how it works. I have never purchased one of these before. They've just recently brought out the colors. Before they just had kind of that light pink. You can see it gives a very light sheer berry look to the lips. There's not a ton of color. It's definitely a very minty tingle. Let's take a look at the lip swatch. The actual applicator here, we do have one side that's more concave for application and then a convex side that is used more for smoothing things out, removing any excess. And one of the things that's different about this applicator versus others is this one's more of a round ball shape versus that like longer, more ovular type that we see often. So I think it's very comfortable. It's a very nice serum. It feels like a thin serum oil type texture on the lips. Doesn't feel too greasy. It's not sticky. It's comfortable. There's definitely that minty scent, and you can feel minty tingling on your lips. I have to say, when I first opened it and smelled the mint fragrance, I thought it was going to be a bit more tingling on the lips than it actually is. It is not overpowering on the lips at all, but I can still kind of smell that fragrance anytime you kind of rub your lips together. So overall though, I think it's really comfortable, it's smooth, and I like it. So let's take a look at the swatch. We'll just put this on my hand, but let's look at the applicator here. Wait for that to focus there. All right, so you can see it's a little bit more of a ball shape. That's our concave side, and here's our convex side. So let's go ahead, we'll actually just put it down here. And you can see that it is going to be a very soft berry shade. There is not a ton of color to this, but it makes it so easy to swipe on top of another lipstick or just keep in your bag for, you know, because it actually feels a little repairing to the lips. So I think for me, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it on kind of more like chapstick type purposes. Now, just a couple of details. We'll look at that lip swatch one more time. We do have 7 milliliters of product here, and this is made in Canada. And I have to say, it's a lip plumper, but I wouldn't say that it is as plumping as I expected. I would say it gives you more of a subtle volume. I would say it's a little bit more subtle on the volumizing front. So if you're comparing it to something like the Dior lip maximizers, I feel like I get a little bit more plumping from those than from this, but the minty sensation's pretty comparable between the two of them. All right, and now let's take a look at the Sonia G brushes. So she's recently come out with her Tradition series, which I have to say, I absolutely love. I use those all the time. They're a fantastic set of brushes. So she just released these Tradition Select brushes using more rare hair types. And we do have like the same type of handle and everything. We'll get into that in a second. But I want to say I am disappointed in these, unfortunately. And let me show you why. This one here is the TS1. So this is White Canadian Squirrel and Psycho Goat, and it's a blend. So these are primarily, except for the last brush, these are all going to be blends. And I feel like blends can be a little bit harder to do correctly because you've got different diameters of hair, so they don't all pack together necessarily the same, and the resistance and everything, you have to get the right balance. So a blend is harder to work with and create properly, in my opinion, than it would be if you had all of the same hair type. So let's just state that from the beginning. But my issue here, and when I first got these, I made a reel for them right away. I was very excited. They feel super soft. But what I noticed while making the reel is that my ferrules feel kind of sharp. So I washed them, kind of set them aside. And then I started hearing from people who were having issues with their brushes. And I went and I looked at mine, and I have the same issue. So you can see how we're not filling up the ferrule. We have a gap between the bristles and the ferrule. And that's how it is on all of them. So just for reference, I mean, here is the new Refer Synthetic. You can see how tight that is to the ferrule. Here's the Sonia G Soft Shader. I mean, it's so tight, you can't even feel like the edge of the ferrule. And that's how it's supposed to be. The ferrules here feel so sharp on the edges, not because the metal itself is cut in a sharp fashion. It's definitely not that issue, but we have such a gap here. This is not filled all the way, or it's not pinched enough. So because of that, we've got this gap. And in my opinion, that's a bit of a defect. Next up, we have TS2. So this one here is your blue squirrel. You can see we also have that gap there. Let's see if I can, I know it doesn't focus that well on the brushes, so hopefully that helps. But this is blue squirrel and Psycho Goat. And this is a really nice shader brush. I really like the way these feel. I like the texture, the shapes. They're all great, but unfortunately, that gap there, I think, is a big defect. Then we have the TS3. This is our crease style brush. Again, we have a pretty large gap there. Now, from people that I've talked to online, some people only have gaps on some of their brushes. So, maybe some people are lucky and they don't have any. So I just want to state this is my experience. So I don't know if everybody is experiencing that, but this is going to be your White Canadian Squirrel and Psycho Goat, just like the TS1. Really nice, firm, crease brush. So this kind of gets into the socket well, can blend it out nicely, but you've got a little bit of firmness to it. And then the TS4, this is your Yellow Canadian Squirrel. And again, you can see I've got that gap there. This one here is not a blend. This is just Yellow Canadian Squirrel. This is great for kind of smudging liner underneath, doing the inner corner, or even deepening the crease. So we looked at the demos for the brushes with the Dolce & Gabbana shadows. I have to say, the performance is still good. Although the TS1, if you want to use this on the side here, unfortunately, because of this gap, you're really not going to get much powder on the side. You can use this definitely easily on the tip, but to get the powder on the side, at least for me, I keep ending up getting it here on the ferrule instead. It kind of just chips away at the shadow and it's not really going on the bristles. So something to note there. But I wanted to just do a couple of quick comparisons with those in her Traditions series here. And I have to say, I love the Traditions that are permanent. So would definitely recommend taking a look at these. Now, if you're looking at the TS3, we've got kind of this curved crease brush here. And then this is the Traditions T3 here. And you can see we have a similar shape. We don't have as much of a point here, but you can see this one also works well for the crease. We've got some resistance and kind of a strong core there. So they are going to be pretty similar in performance. Now the TS2, this was the Blue Squirrel Psycho mix. And by the way, these here in the regular Traditions, these are all Psycho Goat with the persimmon dye. And yeah, so I feel like that gives it a little bit more of a stronger pickup than you would have otherwise, and still incredibly soft. So these are going to have a similar shape here. You can see they're about the same shape, about the same size. So these are pretty comparable. We are going to get a stronger pickup though with all of those in the regular Traditions because of that dye treatment. It just allows it a little bit more grip for the product. Okay, we've got kind of your typical like smudger shader brush, and that goes very well with the T1. You can see these are going to be comparable in shape and size. And as for the TS4, I don't have one exactly like that in the Tradition series, but I have some like random brushes that aren't currently available. They were like limited edition things at the time that have a similar shape. So this is definitely a shape that you can find again. It is pretty close to the detail brush. This is from the Sonia G Fusion series. So you can see we do have a very similar shape there. But this being Yellow Canadian Squirrel is very soft and has a lot more flexibility, whereas the Fusion brush is going to be a lot stiffer. But if you're looking for approximate size, this is a good comparison. So that's it for today. I'd love to know your thoughts. You know, we had some ups, we had some downs in today's video. I have to say I love the color story of the Dolce & Gabbana shadows, but, you know, disappointed that it came shattered. My second order, you know, and I had things shattered in each order. So that was a little disappointing, but again, customer service has been great with that. But I do think, you know, that it perhaps is a problem with that particular shade, since I have heard of several people having that issue with that exact shade. So just something to note there. The eyeliners though, I absolutely love them. Love the colors, love the formula and the ease of application. So definitely top notch there. The La Mer lip serum, I think this is really nice. Now, is it worth full price? You know, I would personally recommend trying to get it on sale if this is something that you're interested in, but you can definitely find similar products at a less expensive price point, like the Dior Lip Maximizers. But it is a really nice splurge product if you are looking for something along those lines. The Sonia G Tradition Select brushes, you know, I was really looking forward to giving them, you know, a great review, but unfortunately they were a little disappointing. And I would say go for the regular Tradition series versus the Tradition Select. So just something to note there. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope this was helpful. So have a wonderful day.